comment from a troll. Great. Community manager for Mighty Number 9 banning people. Jesus Christ. Some stupidity out there. No way. I haven't seen this in years. Tiny Toon Adventures was a cartoon from Warner Brothers Animation that appeared on TV during the early 90s. I wouldn't say that is a forgotten series, but it's not as fawned over as other WB creations during that time period. It wasn't as beloved as Animaniacs, or as epic as Batman the Animated Series, or even as batshit insane as Freakazoid. It was just a really solid cartoon. The concept of the show was simple. All the cartoon characters lived in Acme Acres and attended Acme Luniversity. The faculty at the school are none other than the classic Looney Tune characters, teaching the younger generation the fine art of slapstick comedy. They also dealt with some ethical issues as well, such as equality, self-confidence, and even the dangers of drunk driving. Obviously, there's been a number of video games based on the Tiny Toon franchise that were made spanning different consoles. Let's focus on the one I got. Tiny Toon Adventures 2 Trouble in Wackyland for the Nintendo. Now, I can say, with all confidence, we are in for a fun ride. Why? One word. Yep, Konami, one of the all-time greats. Even before the Metal Gear Solid and Silent Hill days, Konami was the shiznits, thanks in part to the love and care they gave to licensed titles, such as Batman and Ninja Turtles. Well, enough background history. Let's hit the start button and get this party started. In everyone's favorite town of Acme Acres, a mysterious new amusement park has opened up, and the designer of the park has invited Buster Bunny and his friends to opening day for a big surprise. And that surprise is death, courtesy of Montana Max, the younger generation version of Yosemite Sam. Why does he want to do harm to Buster and his friends?
He's an asshole!
The game is divided up into 5 different sections. A roller coaster, bumper cars, a train, a log ride, and a fun house, which you can only access when you acquire 4 golden tickets. Now, how do you acquire those tickets? By beating the other rides, of course. Each of the individual rides need tickets to access them, and you can acquire them from the ticket booth ran by Shirley MacLaine. You trade in the points that you gather during the rides for the tickets, so in a way, you can consider them your continues. For each ride, you control a different Tiny Toon, which I thought was a good decision. because instead of making this a strictly Buster Bunny game, this becomes more of a team effort. Now let's focus on the games themselves. First up is the log ride, in which you control Furball. Here you go down the rapids while avoiding obstacles, such as logs rising from the water, leaping frogs, spiked pillars, and Sweetie Pie. Man, she was annoying. Ah! She's everywhere! You avoid the hazards by jumping and ducking. Now, I'm not a cat person, but that's so cute. In fact, there are a lot of cute moments in this game that are produced from the controls themselves. I've lost count how many times I've hit the up button on the D-pad just to make them look up or stand on their tippy toes. Hell, even not moving at all is entertaining. During the rides, you have 3 hearts, and if you take a hit, you lose one. Lose all, and you have to start the ride over. On the train ride, you control Hampton, which is a straightforward side-scroller, avoiding stop signs, enemies, and falling boxing gloves. Here you have an attack, which is a flying belly bump. Best attack ever.
I'm gonna belly bump him. He's gonna be in trouble.
You can also use it as a maneuver, which can be really handy when the train cars start to separate. On the final car, you engage in a boss fight against Arnold the Pitbull. Yeah, take that. Next up are the bumper cars with Plucky Duck. This is the only game that features a top-down perspective. You take on 2 enemies, and the goal is to bump them into the dark hole.
What is that hole?
You maneuver around with the D-pad, bumping your enemies along the way, and by holding the A button, you can charge up your vehicle for a little extra force. You have 3 areas to complete in order to win this game, and you must do it before the timer runs out. Speaking of which, all the rides have a timer, but for only 2, the bumper cars and the funhouse, does it really have any effect. It's not a big deal, just kind of a nitpick. Of all these rides, this can be the most frustrating, because it can get difficult controlling your car since you're easily bumping all over the place. Fortunately, there is a little help. If you get enough points, this power-up appears. Touch it, and you will have a short time of invincibility. Babs Bunny rides on the roller coaster. You avoid obstacles by jumping, ducking, and hanging upside down. This ride functions similarly to the log ride, except, well, it goes faster. There is a good chance that you will die at least a couple of times while going through it, because the obstacles will come faster than you can, react. Still, it is a fun ride, and Babs is so adorable. When all 4 of the golden tickets are collected, you can now enter the last stage, which is the funhouse. Here, you take control of Buster Bunny. The nice thing here is that if you lose, you don't have to collect all 4 of the golden tickets again. You can just start off at the beginning of this level. The first part of the funhouse operates as a maze. You have a series of doors at your disposal, and you must choose the right ones to find your way through, while avoiding enemies and their projectiles. Fortunately, you have an attack. This can also double as a maneuver that can help you reach further distances. After crossing chasms, avoiding those things, you run into a room containing Elmira. Now, if she touches you, you don't lose any energy. Instead, you lose time, which makes sense because she's very much like that. Eventually, you'll meet up with Montana Max, the final boss in the game. From his blimp, he'll toss bombs at you, and you will use Buster's flash kick to send them back to him. It's very reminiscent to the Bowser boss fight from Super Mario World. Hit him enough times, and you'll send him packing. Tiny Toon Adventures 2 for the Nintendo is a game that you could probably beat in about a half hour, but it doesn't really matter. It's not meant to be a drawn-out adventure, it's just a fun little video game. The graphics are bright and colorful and fun to look at. The sound effects and music are ear-poppingly good. The controls are spot on, and the game itself is full of personality. In itself, this game is a reminder of simpler times. It's a good example why someone like me likes to play retro games. It's a getaway back to the days before adulthood, before the video game industry became this multi-million-dollar business and all the headaches that go with it. When the only video game journalist we cared about was Nintendo Power. Before advertisements for Doritos and Mountain Dew were being shoved in our faces. Before there were 25-minute-long videos denouncing the evils of Miss Pac-Man. Before people were engaging in Twitter wars and wishing death upon each other in 250 characters or less. It was just you, a gray box, a controller, and an 8-bit adventure. I am a gamer, and contrary to the stereotype, I'm also a full functioning member of society with a life outside these walls. And honestly, I need a release from time to time. A small time to relax and have fun. Now, I do enjoy the new stuff, don't get me wrong, but the older games do hold a special quality. A quality that's all their own. Now, if you're under the age of 20 and you can't relate to what I'm saying, don't worry about it. You'll get there one day.